Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Black History Month career webinar. We are live today with Latosha Herron Bruff from the Dallas Regional Chamber, Senior VP of Inclusion and Community Engagement. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of hosting and asking all the questions to help us learn more and more about how to be successful. At this time, I hand it over to you, Latosha.
Oh, well, thank you. And I actually have the honor of being here. And I'll say this first. February is one of my favorite months, not only because it's my birthday month, but because it's Black History Month. And we're able to celebrate accomplishments of great Black Americans. So I'm really happy and honored to be here. I am Latosha Herron Bruff. I am the SVP of Inclusion and Community Engagement at the Dallas Regional Chamber. And my job every day is to make our region, the place where we live, a great place for everyone, a great place to live, work, and do business, not just for some people, but for all people. And that's what I get to do. A little bit about me. I'm a Dallas native, born and raised in Oak Cliff. Very proud of that. I am a product of Dallas ISD, graduated from Health Magnet. Back in the day, I thought I was going to go into the health field, but quickly learned that was not going to be for me. I graduated from the University of North Texas with a degree in journalism and a minor in political science. I grew up with a mom and dad. My dad is a business owner still to this day. At 80 years old, owns a real estate company in Southern Dallas. And my mother, a retired Dallas Independent School District teacher for 35 years, just dedicating to many students around the district. So, I have a special place in my heart for Dallas ISD, and all of you who are watching right now. I was once in your shoes, and so I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say, welcome back to Dallas ISD.
Never far away. And you and I joked earlier, I have two children in Dallas ISD, Brooklyn and Braxton. Don't know if they're watching, but two amazing kids, and very proud to be a Dallas ISD parent now. I think you're muted. You accidentally muted yourself.
Yes, I sure did. Well, let me ask you, what motivates you as an African American leader? Do you have specific memories that highlight your personal goals and values?
Yeah, when I think about being an African American and what that means, I can't help but think about people who have come before me. And I think that's the biggest motivator, whether it's my dad being a first of many, at one point owning and operating the largest real estate company in the state of Texas, being my mom as a Dallas ISD teacher and an engaged community person. But, I think about, what it has taken to get here. And I think sometimes it's easy to take for granted that the world is how the world is and that we move around in the world so freely. But there was a time not so very long ago where we didn't. And so my biggest motivator is to think about people who were just trying to survive, right? People who were just trying to keep their families together. I think about women who didn't have the right to vote, and people who really thought about continuing to make changes and standing up for things that they believe in spite of what was happening in the world. And so, I think about those leaders. I think about Sojourner Truth. Many of you have probably heard about her, but she's a really special woman in history because she was born a slave in New York, and she escaped slavery. And one of the things that she is quoted in saying is, because of them, I can now live the dream. I am the seed of the free, and I know it, and I intend to bear great fruit. And what that means to me is I stand on the shoulders of all those people that have come before me. And there is an obligation for me to do something with that, to be something, to go further. And so that quote always really resonates me in what I do. And I think about the great scientists and artists and philanthropists and political figures that have really paved the way for so many people that are doing phenomenal things today. And so, that is really something that I think about every day. And you talked about a specific memory. You know, I have worked in housing, helping families attain housing because it's so important to have a safe, stable place to live. And there are many, many people in our community that don't have it. And working with so many deserving individuals taught me a few things about the resilience. You talk about, that's the name of your Black History celebration, is resilience of African Americans. There have been people in our communities that have been told no so many times that they don't think a yes is possible. And so helping many people in our community attain housing and have a place for their children to live and create their own memories has been such a very important thing in my life that has taught me that, really helping people to realize what they can achieve and what can be possible. And so my time in helping people during my work in a nonprofit organization has really shaped who I am as a leader. And we all want to make a great salary, we all want to make money, but it's not always just about us. It's about what can we do for others, I think is the greatest thing you can do. So when Sojourner Truth says, I intend to bear great fruit, she means, what are you willing to do for others in respect and remembrance of those that have come before you? So that's what motivates me as a leader.
Well, that's amazing, just being a catalyst of change
That's
and
right.
providing the shoulders for the next generation. So we thank you for that. That's just encouraging, inspirational. I want to go ahead and ask you another question.
Sure.
As you shared many things about your culture and your family values, have these experiences guided you throughout your career?
Oh my goodness. Yes. And I think, culture and tradition is so important to the African American experience. It's a part of it. It's who we are. And I think about some of my own culture and traditions. One of the things I think about right off the bat is church and how so much our faith has been such a part of African American history and African American culture, which is still with me today as an adult. And I'm sharing that also with my children as I raise a family. But so much of the African American experience has been rooted in the church. The civil rights movement birthed out of the church. When you go all the way back to slavery, a lot of times when slaves wanted to gather, they gathered in a place of worship. And so that is such a through line in my life and still continues to be. And one of the things that I could say about, faith, regardless of what you believe, you put yourself within a community of believers, and not just a community of believers, but a community of support and care for each other, a community that gives to their neighbors, to their friends, to their families. And so that is really continues to be such a guiding force in my life, as one of the traditions that as a kid, I don't care how late you stayed out on Saturday, on Sunday morning, you were going to church. And that just became such a part of who I am and how I move about the world. Then I also think about, other traditions that my family has, like family reunions. We have family reunions on both sides of my family, on my paternal and maternal side. And it's so special for us because we get to connect, not to just the past, but also to the future. and you see your family grow and you get to learn more about your family history. And I'll tell you, my son Braxton is learning more and more about his family history through those family reunions. And it has sparked really this excitement in him to know about people that have come before him and that have, survived and achieved great things. And so the learning just always continues. But it's just a time of gathering of good food and fellowship and fun, but really staying closely connected to people who are all over the country and coming together. And so we do that every other year. My family on my dad's side and my family on my mom's side, we do it and we get together and we have a phenomenal time doing it. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, just that sharing, that community, that support,
That's right.
of the culture, of the learning, of the history, to keep everything going. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a
It's a
beautiful
it's
thing.
it's
Yes.
important. I mean,
Yes.
we lose some of ourselves when we don't continue to tell those stories. And
Yes.
the old folks, they used to sit down and share stories and tell those stories, but we got to continue to keep those traditions alive so we can share that with the next generation that comes behind us. So it's really really important. And even if you can't or don't do family reunions, I always encourage young people to find someone in your family and interview them. Everyone has a cell phone, everyone has a smartphone, and interview someone in your family about, whether it's your grandmother or aunt or grandfather or cousin, and start to chronicle things that happen in your family. And I think there'll be some surprises that you would learn.
I love that. Just bringing in that storytelling. Like I said, it's just a fun and just an enriching way to learn more so you can continue to do more.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, ma'am. So, what are some cultural customs and traditions as we speak that you feel are important to you and you would never alter or stray away from? And why?
Yeah. Well, one of the ones I was talking about, church for us is so important. I think that's just one that you have to for us, and it could be different from other people. Is that just staying connected with community? I think also giving back to your community. How do we begin to support the businesses in our communities? Small business is such a bedrock of our communities across America. But, we got to figure out, how do we continue to support them? I told you that my dad was an entrepreneur. He ran his own business. I spent time in the business for about 10 years. And one of the things that I really learned is how important it is to support businesses in your community, because it really maintains the survival of that business. And you also think about the wealth generation that it creates. You also think about the opportunity it gives for employment. So it's really important to me, growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, is that you support and you continue to support those businesses that are in your community. And that's one thing that we do, is we try to figure out, who's the local grocery owner, who's the local bookstore owner, and we want to give support to those businesses as well. Are some things that I just think that we cannot stop doing, is supporting our own neighborhoods and communities by keeping them in business. Is something that we'll want to do. And then some of the other traditions that I mentioned earlier about our family reunions and staying in touch with our families is just a part of who we are. And getting to know more about our family and our traditions and people of the past is just how we keep those that have gone before us alive. And I think it's so very, very important.
Yes, just thinking about the legacy that we continue on. Yeah,
Sure.
like I take the torch, I hand it to you, and we continue to move forward.
That's right. And I think it's important.
Yes,
And I think it can be inspiring to
yes,
kids nowadays. For all of you that are listening, you might find someone in your family that has done something that inspires you or sparks something in you to do something, whether it's someone that ran a business. I had a grandfather that owned a grocery store. And then I like to think that's what inspired my dad to be a business owner, right? I saw my mother giving back to her community as a way of volunteerism. And so I think that has sparked me in wanting to also do the same. So I just encourage people, the kids especially, to do that, to figure out who is in their family lineage and see if there's something that might not be sparked.
Yes, so start a spark.
Yes, start a spark. Yes.
Let's do it. Yes. With that in mind, let me ask you, who was someone that started that spark for you? A teacher, a counselor, an educator? And would you share those memories with us?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to name two. One is my mother, and I'm going to come back to that because she is the ultimate. Um, she's the ultimate inspiration for me. They're hands down. I don't think there's anyone that comes above her. But number two, there's a lady who's still active. She's no longer a teacher. Her name is Frances Langston. She was my seventh grade teacher at Atwell Middle School. And Miss Langston was an amazing teacher. And you know when you have an amazing teacher, when people still call Miss Langston, they still reach out to her. She was just inspiring. You know, the way she showed up to work every day, the care and love she put into our students, just her preparedness, the way she wanted you to win. You felt like Miss Langston was your biggest cheerleader in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And so I get a chance to, believe it or not, and I'm up there. I just had a birthday yesterday, and I still see Miss Langston. And she actually is a member of my church. We also sit as a member of an organization together, the South Dallas Business and Professional Women's Club. And Miss Langston still looks as beautiful as she did in the seventh grade. And she still, you talked about, catalysts for change. She's figured out how to continue to use her will to pour into the lives of students and how to pour into the lives of community. And she's still doing that. And she was so inspiring to me that she always carried her with me. And she's such a still person that I remember fondly. And I think about just the encouragement she gave me in the seventh grade was really important. Seventh grade is tough. Junior high school is tough. And Ms. Langston was there for not just for me, but for many other students. The second person is my mom. Her name is Latosha Herron. And right now, I believe if you go to the African American Museum right here in Dallas, you'll be able to see her picture on the wall. She was just inducted to the African American Educators Hall of Fame. And I mean, you have to be pretty special to get on that wall.
Congratulations.
Yes.
My goodness.
Thank you. You have to be pretty special to get on that wall. And I think about my mom and, so much of the time and energy she gave to her students, to her colleagues, to her community, and then came home as a mother and her job continued. She didn't stop. And now as a mother, I look back and I say, how did she do this? How did she have the energy to be teacher of the year and all these great things in her professional life and still come home and just be an exceptional wife and mother to my brother and I? And so I really look to her as my ultimate inspiration. A Dallas ISD teacher for 35 years is probably my number one inspiration.
And she's my inspiration. Oh my, I'm taken back. I'm really that was breathtaking to me. I'm thinking I've got to go check this out because I'm an educator at heart. So that just, it touched my heart. And I know it's the heart of all our students.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, because as a teacher, that's why we come, that's what we do. We give our best and to see students like yourself who become successful.
Well,
and the things that we did along the way meant a lot. Those little things did a lot.
Yeah, there's a student right now that's probably sitting in class or watching this and thinking about their teachers right now, and they will be, a CEO, a leader in their company, an entrepreneur, and they'll think back on a teacher like a Frances Langston or like my own mother, who still gets invitations to weddings and baby showers, and students still call her. So I'm willing to bet that some students that are listening today will have that same experience.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. With that in mind, let me ask you, can you share a few great moments? I know you shared some of the greatest ones today, but a great moment and an accomplishment as an African American and how you believe they make an impact on society today.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's been so many, but I think the best is yet to come. I'm so inspired by what I see happening right now. Over the last 2 years, we have lived under a pandemic. We have seen some real tough things in our social justice system, our criminal justice system. But what has happened though is created a lot of conversation about how do we become better? How do we become more inclusive? And I'd like to think a lot of my work has been in that area, supporting marginalized communities, supporting under championed communities and neighborhoods for many many years. I used to work for a nonprofit organization, and I told you we help to find and connect people to housing, to homes. And during the time that I was there, we were named the number one home builder in Dallas. And that was when the real estate crisis was happening, right? And we were really helping people recover and really increase their opportunity for wealth by building over 300 homes in the span of about 2.5 years. And that was really a proud moment to me to see someone come in that didn't think that they could and see them now as a home builder and see them being able to leave, like you said, that legacy for their children and children's children. Um, I was also awarded as a trailblazer. The South Dallas Business and Professional Women's Club, they award a Trailblazers Award every year. And last year I received the Trailblazers Award from this illustrious group because I am the first in my role. And it doesn't, at first I didn't know how to feel about that because being the first is not always a celebration because you're thinking, why did it take so long for me to get here? But you also think about it as a huge responsibility and a huge honor to be able to be in my role now, where my focus is around how do we become more diverse, more equitable, and more inclusive? How do our companies really make sure that we have inclusive workplaces where everyone belongs? I don't care where you come from, what zip code you live in, we want to make sure that everyone has the same opportunity and access to opportunity to grow and thrive and live their fullest potential. And so I was awarded for getting a role that allows me to work with the business community and our community partners on this every day. And so I'm just truly, truly proud of the growth and the changes and the things that we've seen even in the last 2 years, so much so the Dallas Regional Chamber was just recognized as the National Chamber of the Year. And I was there when we got our award in Indianapolis. And a lot of our work has been about how do we build stronger communities. And our region is amazing. It's a wonderful, growing, thriving region. But we want all people to do well, right? So we want the students that are listening to this conversation to understand that we want everyone who is listening and then watching and those that are not to have an opportunity to thrive and excel. And so we're not going to stop. That is something, there is no finish line to that work. We get up every single day and think about that. And so to have that honor to be the National Chamber of the Year that has diversity, equity, and inclusion as its pillar has been just such a great accomplishment in my life. So I'm really excited about the work that we're doing, but the work that we're going to continue to do.
Yes, well, congratulations on those accomplishments because those are mountaintop accomplishments. Yes, and you are a trailblazer because there are students that will be listening to say, that's going to be me next. Yeah.
Well, I hope so. That's what I'm hoping, that someone is sitting in that seat and they are sparked and thinking about, I won't always be a student. Well, you really will. You're always learning. I'm always a student, even though I'm not in school. You're always learning, but you always won't be in that seat. But you will be in another seat one day, and the hope is that you will be able to lift as you climb, and that's what I really want to do, is not only climb but lift. How do we lift individuals? How do we lift companies? How do we lift communities? That is something that we'll all want to do, because I think it really does take all of us.
Absolutely. It's going to take every single one of us.
Yes.
At this time, Latosha, we're going to go ahead and take Q&A from our students that are viewing. So give me just a moment.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to read it as it is placed in the Q&A. It says, Miss Langston and your mom sound like great mentors. As a student, how do I choose a mentor? What should I ask of my mentor?
Oh, wow. That is a phenomenal question. I think you want to choose a mentor, someone that you respect, someone that inspires you, someone maybe that is doing something that you're interested in, someone who is really paving a way maybe for you. So if it's a teacher, it could be a family member, it could be whoever's in your sphere of influence that you think may really be able to dedicate some time to helping you. And I think you should ask of your mentor, I want to do whatever it is. And you need to ask your mentor, can you help me achieve that? How can I do something today that will get me to where I want to be tomorrow, right? And because we don't always need to think about, 10, 15 years from now. Think about how you can start preparing right now, right? Are there classes I need to take? Is there an internship I can apply for? Are there other people that you can introduce me to? One of the biggest things that a mentor can do is be a connector, right? Can I call you? Can I use you as a recommendation? There's many, many things that a mentor can be for you. And a mentor may just be a listening ear, right? There's so many challenges and stresses that go on for students that sometimes you want someone that can be a listening ear that has gone through some things, right? And so I think you want to be able to reach out to that mentor and ask them, do you have time to spend with me? And you don't want to pick a mentor that doesn't have time. So you want to ask that very quickly. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Latosha. We have time for one more question. And the question is, when we live through something tough, what do you think we should think about to help us maneuver through these tough times?
That is such a great question. Here's what I will say. You have to remember that tough times don't last, that they are a moment in time. And that, if you think of it like that, you know that on the other side, things will be better. And so you have to remember that first. But always keep some motivation, whether it's whether you can have a book that inspires you, whether there's inspirational quotes that you can read to yourself every morning and every day to motivate you, whether there's a podcast that you can listen to. Fill your space with positivity and inspiration. Get rid of all the negativity, all of those that aren't putting and pouring something into you positive. Remove yourself from them and fill your space with positive people and positive influences.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you, Latasha. We're about to come to the close of our webinar. So like to give some closing remarks, some inspirational message?
Sure. I just want to say, to all of the students that are listening, you all are destined for greatness and that the time starts right now. There is no better time than right now. You are in the right position. You have everything you need to be able to grow and to excel. All you have to do is get up and act. That's all you have to do is take the first step. Be diligent, be mindful, and make sure you continue to fill your path with positive influences. But thank you so much for having me today.
Well, thank you. It's been nothing but a pleasure and an honor. So we do